Hi everyone, welcome to this Python tutorial series. In this video, I'll be showing you how you can read and write to a file. For reading to a file, we're going to use this William Shakespeare's ebook, which is part of the project Gutenberg. Let's get straight into it. I've downloaded the file and I've named it Romeo. I'll put a link to this file in the description below. Let's see how we can read this file in Python. To open the file, we use the open function. And the first thing that you have to specify is the name of the file. So in this case, romeo.txt. The second argument is the mode for opening the file. So one of the modes is read, which is specified with an R. And we also have write. And you also have append mode. And you can also read and write. So for this case, we just want to open the file for reading. So I'll specify with R. But now what we want to do is to open this within a context so that when we leave the context, it can automatically close the file. So for that, we use the with keyword. We've opened the file in read mode as F. So the F here is the variable name. You can specify anything, but F is usually common for files. So the final thing that we want to read is this text. So I'll just say text. So now for you to read the text, you can read the entire text using the read function, which is defined on this variable that we created here. We have to use the same variable name that we specify here inside here. So here, since this is F, I've used F here. So in using the read function, you have to be careful because this will read the entire file in memory. This file is quite small, so we can use the read function and this will work just fine. But if you have a bigger file, for example, something around 20 GB, don't use this function. So for smaller files, you can use it and it will work just fine. So let me show you what I've read here. So you see that it has read the entire file into memory. So because here I'm using the terminal, it's truncated it a little bit. Another method that you can use for reading a file is called readline. This will just read a single line of text from that file. And if you close this and you check this, you see that now we just have a single line of text. So as soon as you exit this context, it will close this file. So now if I try to read, for example, from the same file, you see that if this is closed, it can't read from it. It's a closed file. So that's why we have to use the context manager, because as soon as we exit this, whether there's an error or not, it's going to close this file. And closing any files that you open is one thing that you have to always do. So despite there being other ways of opening a file, this is the most preferred way and you have to use this way. Another method for opening the file, for example, you could say F equals open.that. And when you finish working on this file, you have to manually close the file by yourself. But this is not really advised because you have to handle this by yourself, and when you have an error, sometimes you will exit the program without closing the file. So always ensure that you use the context manager that is specified using the with keyword. And this variable name is found at the end here. Don't use this method, it's really not advised. Sometimes we're interested in reading the entire file but want each line to be separate. For example, in natural language processing, when you're working on different lines, you want them to be separate so that you can do pre-processing on them. For that, there's a method called readlines. So this is plural and it returns a list of lines. So let me show you what this contains. We see that this is a list with different lines. So you see for blank lines, they're just /n. So this is a blank line which just specifies new line. So let's check the number of lines in this file. We can use the length, and this would give us the number of lines in this file. You see that there are almost 5,000 lines in this file. Another pattern that's common for reading the file line by line is using the for loop, and that allows you to do some pre-processing on each line. So for example, we could say line for line in F. And if we don't want any blank lines, for example, we could say if line, and I'll just strip to remove any blank spaces. So this will ensure that this line is not a blank line. And if I check the length of this file, you see that the length has reduced. It's only around 3,600. And if I check this, you see that now at the end we don't have those blank lines. And for example, the other thing that we might want to do is to remove these new lines at the end of every sentence. So we could easily do that using a for loop. For example, I'll strip all these new line characters at the end. And now when I print, you see that it has done some pre-processing and removed all the new line characters at the end of each line. So usually in my daily work, I use the for loop for reading a file because it allows me to do this kind of pre-processing. I usually don't use read lines because it will just retain the lines as they are. But usually I'm interested in doing some pre-processing. Therefore, this is the common pattern that I use. And here, as you can see, this reads the entire file in memory. So sometimes it might not be the most preferred way of reading this file if this file is very big. Here we're dealing with a small file, so we can do this without any problems. Finally, let's see how we can write to a file. So even for writing to the file, we use the same context manager. So it's say for open, and here you give the file any name that you want. So let me say, and the extension is, you can give any extension, it will work. It doesn't really mind about the extension you give. It will treat it just as a plain text. So here I have to specify that this is for writing. You can't write to a file that's just for reading, and you can't read from a file specified for writing. So I can use the same variable f. And now, for example, to write anything, I'll just say f.write. And let's say this message. So now if I check here, you see that it has created this file, Juliet, and I can read this using a shell command just to show you. So you see that this message that I wrote here has been written here. And this is a shell command cat, so you can't use it in Python, same as ls. It's just that I'm using IPython, which accepts these methods. So for example, let me write to the same file. I write another message. Let me read this file again. You see what's in this file now. So you see that it has overwritten the message that was there before. So if you want to append to this file, instead of overwriting what was there, you have to open this file in append mode. So instead of just write, you have to use append mode. So now if I run this, you see. So now if I check the content of this file, you see that it has appended another message at the end, which is this message is good. So we have two of them. So to make a new line between these lines, you can just say f.write. And to specify a new line, you use \n. So this will append, it will append two lines. So the first line will be a new line, and then it will append another line, which is this message. Now if I check what's in this file, you see that now there's the first line which was there, and this \n, this is a new line character. It created a new line, and now you see that the other message is in its own line. Finally, let me just show you that if you've opened the file for writing, you can't really use it for reading. So here I'll just try to read this file, which I've opened for writing. So append mode is write mode. It will refuse because this file has been opened for writing. So now to try to read from there to give you an error. So the same applies if you open a file for reading and you try to write to it, you still get an error for that. So here I'll just say read, and here let me say write. You see that this also causes an error because this file is meant for reading and not writing. So you have to be careful about the mode you open the file in. If it's a mode for reading, you can only read from the file. If it's the mode meant for writing, you can only write to the file. And if you open in the file for reading and writing, you see that now this will work. You can read from that file. So I'll start with writing, then I'll print out what's in that file. You see that now it works. So I've written a blank line here, so we can't really see it, and I've read from the file because this file is meant for reading and writing, so this works. And in my experience, usually when you open the file, you open it for one specific function. You either want to read from it or to write from it. So that's how you open a file for reading and writing in Python. If you have any questions or any comments, put them in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this video, and remember to like and subscribe to the channel. In the next video, we're going to cover a very important concept, which is lists.